Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Foreman's Basement. I'm sitting here with the East Top 008K Blues harmonica. I'm here today to talk about this harmonica. It's one of the only times you'll ever see me recommend you something that's not, like a Hohner or a Seidel or a Suzuki. Today we're talking budget harps. What is the most bang that you can get for your buck? Because, for example, I browse the Reddit for harmonica very often, and most of what you see, at least half of the posts on there, it seems like, are people that have just bought a harmonica, like a $7 one, and they're like, how do I learn? Where do I start learning harmonica? Or they'll ask something like, hi, I have like $15 or, whatever, what's my first harmonica? Well, if you're thinking about starting harmonica, I urge you, I implore you to please spend, at the very least, get this. This is as low as I would go. This East Top T008K or just 008K, I've seen it listed both ways on Amazon. This is $25. It can range from $25 to about $28, $29, depending on where you get it. But you can get it online, and this is the best budget harmonica that you can get for your money. This is actually a playable instrument. Even me as a Hohner fanboy, I got my regular marine band here in B flat, and this is the East Top also in B flat. Even me as a marine band fanboy, I can get down with this thing. This thing rocks, and I think that, again, you don't want to be spending too little money on your first harmonica. If you buy something that's a toy, a professional harmonica player can pick up a toy harmonica and make it sound okay, but it's only because they have the knowledge of what they're looking for. They already know how to bend and how to manipulate the reeds. So if you gave, like Little Walter a $7 harmonica, I'm sure he could make it sound pretty decent just because he knows what to do. But if a beginner steps up to that, toy instrument, again, the toy harmonica, you're not going to be able to, I don't know, but you guys know what I mean. Sorry, I'm having trouble explaining it, but having trouble finding the right words. It's just everything will go smoother if you have a fully operational instrument. When you're learning any instrument, honestly, you should be buying, what's the term? Professional quality, I guess. And I would consider this, even though this is only $25 and it's made in China, by the way, even with those two things kept in mind, I would still consider this a professional instrument. The bends, when I first got this, were pretty much good to go out of the box. I'm sure it took a couple days of breaking in, and what got me thinking about this was, well, two things that reminded me of this harmonica. First of all, quick shout out to James Bellowin and Dirty Pat Walsh, both two other harmonica players that both have channels right here on YouTube. Be sure to check them out, give them a subscribe. They both recently did reviews on East Tops, and it reminded me, this is my only East Top, and I just moved back in here to Menifee. I was looking through all my old stuff the other day, and I found this. I was like, oh yeah, remember this? This was one of the first B flats that I ever bought when I was first learning harmonica. I remember being impressed with it then, and coming back to it now. It's been years since I've played it. The last time I played this harmonica was probably 3 or 4 years ago, up until recently. And let's just say I've made a little bit of progress in my playing since then. But you know what just amazed me was going back, picking this up, after all these years, it just was literally sitting there. It still plays so good. The bends are all still there. It's not perfect. I'll still buy a marine band if I can afford it, always, personally. But if you only have $25, if you just want to spend a little bit of money, but you want a professional quality instrument, again, if you're learning, this is the harmonica for you. And I don't normally recommend stuff that's, again, made in China. I have a bit of a prejudice against the Chinese manufactured products, but this is an exception to the rule in my book. Let's just play a little bit, and I want to talk about the construction and compare it to a marine band. All right, little rough, timing totally off. You know what I realized lately? My timing is shit. Unless I know the song, my timing is dog shit. That's something I gotta work on. It's like I tell you guys, the more I learn about harmonica, the more I realize that I don't know anything. So, okay, the East Top Blues harmonica. So you got, online it says that the reed plates are made out of brass, but it doesn't look like brass to me. It looks like, I guess, some kind of steel, probably a lower grade steel. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But brass, to me, brass is gold. That's like the Marine Band has the brass reed plates. But so you got those, and then I also, sorry, I'm getting all discombobulated here. I'm gonna work while I talk here. We're gonna open it up, just take a quick look inside, and afterwards we'll compare it to the Marine Band because it's very comparable. And you have what I think are some kind of steel reed plates. Again, maybe it's just brass that's that color, I guess. I don't know. Then you have the cover plates, which again are some kind of steel, I would assume. And they're covered in a paint or a powder coating or some kind of coating that makes them blue. Okay, so here we have the reed plate. It has the vents on both sides. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Okay. So I actually have not opened this. Wow, yeah, those reeds are looking pretty dark. You know, I was about to say those are phosphor bronze, but guys, I should have looked this up ahead of time. I was going to say those are phosphor bronze, but those might just be brass reeds, actually. But there they are. See how the light kind of hits them there a little bit. I just want to give you guys an idea of the construction. But as you can see, as far as design, I mean, cover plates, it's basically a Chinese Marine Band. It's just a little bit fatter. We're going to put it back together here, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me see here. The logo's rubbing off. But the design is basically a Marine Band. I think that's what it is. The cover plates are vented on the side. Again, we're going to take a look here once I'm done screwing it in. But again, I'm telling you guys, even as a beginner and up till nowadays, where I'm not exactly a beginner, but I'm not, you know, good yet. I'm still just learning. I'm like intermediate, I guess you would say. Also, something that has to be mentioned, this is really important too, out of the box, you know, like I really didn't have to mess with the gaps or anything. Sometimes you get a honer out of the box and the 2 or 3 draw is garbage and you're like, what the hell? Those are like 2 of the most important reeds. Who was working at the factory that day? Not with East Top. Kind of going up and down there, testing out some of the bends. It's very comparable to... Okay, again, sorry. Guys, I'm just very distracted today. I got to keep myself on topic. As you can see, comparing it to a Marine Band, the shape is almost exactly the same, just slight variations. And that might even be like a... could that be just to avoid like a patent lawsuit or something? I don't know. Do the Chinese even... Do they have those patent lawsuits over there? I don't know, but the design is very, very similar to a Marine Band. Again, just thicker. On the back end here, it is much harder to crush, and I like that. If you see, you have these little stoppers, and the cover plates themselves are thicker than Marine Band for sure, and it's just very hard to squeeze. You know, a lot of times I squeeze my cover plates too hard, just because I'm playing and I'm getting into it, or oftentimes I'll carry a harmonica in my pocket without a case, which you should never do. I remember one time I was hiking with a brand new crossover in my pocket. Actually, it wasn't even in my pocket. It was in the belt loop case, and I fell because I used to do mountain climbing, like just not literally, but like you find like a hill big enough to be called a mountain and just walk straight up. Anyway, I fell. Like I took a pretty decent fall. And then I looked at my cover plates. They were like this. They were just completely, just totally smushed. And they're really hard to bend back into place. And to me, it compromises the airtightness. But anyway, enough rambling. So yes, construction is solid. Airtightness. Almost as good as I like. Not as good as the Marine Band on airtightness, but... to put it into perspective, it is at least as airtight as a blues harp or a Special 20, both of which I play regularly. And I do consider both of those to be less airtight than a good Marine Band if you get a good one. So, in other words, airtightness is just fine. It could be a little bit better, but not enough to bother me. I will still play this. The durability has been great. I mean, I played this for probably about a year back in the day, and I mean, for a $25 Chinese harmonica, I expected much less, and it far surpassed my expectations. Didn't have to do any setup on it. Um, it also comes fully apart, as you guys saw when I took off the cover plates. It also has a lot of screws in it. You know, like the Hohner Blues harp, I think there's only 2 or 3 screws holding the reed plates and comb together on the Hohner Blues harp, not counting the ones on the cover plates on both ends. But this one has at least, I mean, we should have counted them, but probably 6. And again, that's just from the reed plates and cover plates. Now, as far as tone, I have trouble differentiating these things sometimes, you know? Okay, so there's definitely a tonal difference there. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Let's hit a couple of 2 draws here. So there's a tonal difference. It has to be mentioned that the projection is great. It's got great volume, honestly. The volume is at least as good, if not louder, than the Marine Band. I'm so sorry if you guys are wearing headphones. I did not mean to just blow you up like that. Hopefully the audio is going to be okay. Actually, it does kind of feel like it's louder than the Marine Band. At least it feels that way to me. I also just like the cover plate design. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. One thing that is not up for debate for me is style, I guess. As stupid as that sounds, part of what I love about the Marine Band is how damn sexy it is. I mean, just look at this thing. It has these engravings that I don't even know what the fuck they mean. You need a magnifying glass to even see some of the engravings on the cover plate. And I also just love the Matthias Hohner logo on there with the Marine Band. It's just classy, you know, it's really nice. Cover plate design is never lost on me. I always pay attention to that. And although they could have done something on the bottom cover plate, again, I think this is boring to just leave the bottom plate. You know, you could write like made in China. I've seen videos of the East Top factory, by the way. I mean, of course, this could just be propaganda, but it looks like they got a pretty nice little operation going there, and they laser tune the reeds, so I think that's different than how Hohner does it. I don't know. Anyway, guys, not that much else to say. It's a great harmonica. If you want a good blues harp for the money, excellent tone, again, great volume, good wah-wahs too. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, baby. Anyway, but yeah, and then as I was just saying on the top cover plates, I like these smoke, these like trails of smoke on the corners there. So yeah, it's a nice one, guys. And I think that's probably about it for me. Just wanted to tell you guys a fun little story I had about this harmonica. When I first picked this up again, it reminded me when I was first learning and I had just bought this, I was on mushrooms one night and I went to the park. And this local park, a few miles from here. And it was this big sports park, but there was a mountain at the very end of it. And I always liked to just go there, like when the sun was setting, and just kind of climb, not all the way up on the mountain, but just high enough to where I was just looking down on the whole park and just kind of chill, listen to music, smoke weed, drink whatever. I remember one night I was on mushrooms and I was hanging out there, and the sun was going down, and I was just feeling great. And I had this little guy with me, and it was a full moon that night. And it was just one of those nights where everything clicked. It was one of those nights where I realized, like, oh, I can do that. Like, I can hit that riff. I didn't even know that I could play that. And I remember just looking down on, like, the families. They were, like, having barbecues or whatever. Like, people just down in the park having their little gatherings or walking their dogs or playing sports. And I was just kind of looking down at them, totally obscured in the mountain. Again, like, just in complete darkness, just looking at that moon, playing this exact same harmonica that I'm holding right now. That was a very special night. I don't know. It was one of those nights where, again, everything just comes together. I couldn't tell you exactly what came together. I just remember it was one of those days where your playing levels up, like same thing. I was sitting in this exact same room. It was probably, again, 4 or 5 years ago now. God, I can't believe I've been playing guitar and singing for that long. That's like insane to me. It feels like just yesterday or last year I picked up guitar for the first time. Right, I remember sitting in this exact same room the first time that I realized that I could follow a blues as long as I knew the key. The first time that I realized I could make my own blues just by sitting here going, shit, sorry. Woke up this morning, feeling round for my shoe. The first time I realized I could do that, just make a blues on the spot, just from understanding like the 1-4-5 progression and the blues scale and practicing it over and over again on the harmonica. That was a beautiful moment. The first time I realized I could do that, and that was probably the most significant moment of my harmonica playing. Was just this one time I remember I was right there on the bed, just sitting there playing along. I'd had a few drinks and I just started playing and singing to myself. And when I finished the song, I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do that just by myself. Like no backing track, no song like pre-thought out. Nowadays, I do everything improvisational. It drives me insane because the thing about improv is if it's good, it's fantastic. It's incredible. It's from the ether. It comes from the ether. It's not, you're just a catalyst that it's going through. However, if you rely on that like I do, a lot of times you show up to the jam, and if you can't harness that energy, which most of us can't do it on command, we just have to wait for it to happen. If you can't harness that energy, you're just sitting there like an asshole, just hitting the 2-draw the whole time, you know? You know, just doing very simple stuff, and it's just, well, I'm rambling. I hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing fucking terrible. And it's not going to get better. But, all right, guys. I'm going to try to record one song for the channel. And, yeah. It doesn't get better, guys. I just want you to know, in case you think it gets better, it doesn't get better. It doesn't ever get better unless you have the resources and the energy and the time to do something about it. And most of us don't. So then we end up dead inside like our parents, working meaningless jobs, and then next thing you know, you're old. And then you don't care anymore. How sad is that?